The show starts in
Okay, you're worse about intros than I am at this point.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Can you all hear me just fine?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes, yes.
Okay, good.
All right. So tonight's
here.
live. Good, thank you. Mom number one, you hear me just fine?
Yes.
All right, great. We got that sorted. Sorry, you guys. We had technical difficulties. So thank you for being here. Tonight's live isn't just about speculation or rumor. It's about listening to two mothers who've been carrying something that I don't feel any parent should have to ever carry. You've heard me talk about the Sallisaw playground case, and you may remember in a previous video, I mentioned a young girl whose mother was told not to talk about what happened. Both of those mothers were supposed to be joining us tonight, along with a man, Sean, who's been trying to help them make sure that their stories aren't buried or forgotten. This is a small town in Oklahoma. I want to be very clear from the start. We will not be naming any children or identifying minors in any way. The goal really is just awareness and accountability, and also giving these parents a chance to speak in their own words. So if you're watching live, always, please keep the chat very respectful. Moderators will remove anything that's inappropriate. These are real families, real kids, and the conversation deserves respect. And with that said, we did have the second mom was going to be joining us, but I do want to let everyone know that she planned to join us, but she isn't able to appear. I feel like it's an incredibly emotional situation involving children, so I fully respect her decision to step back. Nothing about this story changes, and our focus, remains the same, giving the families a voice, keeping the facts straight, and really just making sure what happened in Sallisaw isn't brushed aside. So we're grateful to those who are here and to everyone watching who's showing compassion and respect. So let's start where things stand right now. Sean, would you kind of like explain to us and our audience how you got involved with this playground situation in Sallisaw?
Yeah, make sure you kind of introduce yourself too,
Yes,
Sean, to
please.
give. There's going to be some folks in the chat who are listening that may not understand who you are.
Okay, great. So my name is Sean Buckner, and I've become involved with this because I have a Facebook page called the Sallisaw Transparency page. And living in a small town in Oklahoma, corruption can be quite rampant in our communities because everybody knows each other. Most people are related to each other here, and it's been that way for decades here, if you will. And so, having been done wrong by law enforcement here myself, I started this page probably 2 years ago, and it's grown to over 12,000, about 12,000 people right now. And so what had happened with these two moms, I was made aware of it very quickly because they knew based on the players or the people involved that was doing the perpetration of this was highly political in our community. And so how I got involved with this is through my transparency page on Facebook. But so not mom number two, which is not with us tonight, had called me and told me exactly what had happened and explained her story and who had done this to her son.
All right, thank you. I was just sharing the Facebook page, so if anybody's interested in going to that, and I do see some new stuff on there.
It's
So
in the chat too.
that's a great, yes, the link's in the chat, so that's a great place,
Yep.
to kind of get some background information.
And so I was deplatformed from Facebook for this particular topic. I've become very vocal when I found out who the kids that were doing this to this young man on the playground was, and I'm assured that the there's judges involved, there's district attorneys involved, and that's how I was deplatformed off of Facebook. So I started an X account, and it's growing readily. Again, I'm going to cross-platform all of this stuff, and I'm appealing Facebook to get my account back because there's a treasure trove of information that I've published over the last couple of years, kind of like a timeline of what's happened here. But going back to this particular
Yeah, can
situation,
you explain, you mentioned a judge being involved. Can you kind of explain what is kind of behind that and why this may
sure.
potentially be causing these problems with it not being addressed, how most people are feeling it's not being addressed appropriately?
Sure. So this Eastside school, I believe these were fifth graders. They were friends at one point in time. Um, you know, I'll just tell you what mom told me, and I've got it pretty well ingrained in my memory of the events that happened and the timeline that happened. So mom was called on a Tuesday afternoon to come over to school that there has been an incident with her son. And so she goes over there, and you got the chief of police, which is Katie Graham, which is the chief for the school system, and he had the principal John Jones, and they basically told her that her son was in an incident on the playground and he's been penetrated. And so they took the child over to the advocacy group where you had Donna Owens, which is the wife of John Owens, the investigator for our district attorney, which is friends with the judge, which was I'm understanding via the video that was shown to the mom that it was the judge's son that was doing the penetration part. And so that's how I got involved, because once the family figured out that it was a judge's son that did this, they knew it would get swept under the rug immediately. And so they reached out to me to gather as much evidence as I can and talk to people to get this recorded and teach the mom how to my first instructions to mom was to record everything. Anybody
Right.
you talk to, record, because what they tell you in the beginning will not be what they're going to be telling you in the end. And
Now,
so
is a coach's child potentially involved?
yeah, so here's what happened. The video showed, and this is, per mom number two's, she got to watch the video. The chief actually sat in his car and showed mom the video on his laptop. And mom described the video as that you had three kids pick her son up and throw him to the ground. Two kids held him down while the judge's son penetrated him. And in the very beginning of this, when she was notified, it was penetration. The very next day, they changed the verbiage to it was playground games. And so they were downplaying it from the very beginning. And I would love to know how the Child Advocacy Center interviewed the child, because I believe that the chief knew at that point in time he was penetrated. So, but keep in mind there was never a SANE exam, and not on either one of these child. After being disclosed that there was a penetration, and so I don't know why they wouldn't have done that, other than the players involved with the judge's son being the perpetrator, and to the coach's son, yeah, he was they all played on a football league together, youth football league, and the coach's son was one of the assailants, if you will, one of the ones that was holding him down.
Oh my.
And what's crazy about it, and I don't know, Kari, if you've seen my video of me asking the coach, the dad of this kid, I went out to the football field and I just wanted a simple question, was one question. I don't see the victim here. Why is he not out here practicing with the rest of his team? And I don't know if you saw the video where he just swished him away, like he's just gone.
I sure did.
That's how it works here. When you are in that tight knit group, things just go away whenever their kids do something bad to, other kids. And what's sad about, this child, he was pulled out of his school and he can't play football on the team that he, all these friends, and he had to move. He had to give up not just being violated, but he had to give up his life. He had to change. While all these other kids, the judge's son, he's still playing football, along with the coach's son, he's still playing football. Nothing's being done to these guys.
That's so sad. I was telling Tara, I have grandchildren the same age as these boys. Well, I have a 9 and 11-year-old grandson, and they just finished their football season. And my point in telling this is how important those kind of sports are. And they really develop friendships, and it means a lot to these kids. And when my
Sure.
grandson played his last game a week or so ago, they thought they were going to the championships. They lost their game, and he came off the field just bawling. Oops, okay. He came off the field crying, and I thought, what is wrong with you? He wasn't crying because they lost. He was crying because the coach said that was the last game of the season. It really
Sure.
is important, and I know that the little boy, the victim, the mom had said he had played with these kids since pre-K, and same with my grandson. I just can't imagine having to take my grandson away from all his friends, his teammates, his school. That's horrible. He's been, this little kid has been through a very traumatic experience, and then to lose everything really that he knows is so sad. It breaks
Well,
my heart.
And let me touch on something that's even worse. And this has bothered me. Look, I haven't slept in days, in weeks now. It's going on into weeks. And I think about this all the time because I know how this system works. But think about mom number one. She was told, and mom number one, you can correct me at any time, but she was told. Let me back up from this. So I published this on my Facebook page. Mom number one reached out to me and said, Sean, the exact same thing happened to my little girl. She's in 3rd grade a week prior. In fact, I believe it was October 3rd. Is that right, Mom?
Yeah. Yes.
And so when I found out that 2 of these incidences has happened within a week of each other,
Yeah.
we got a problem. As a community, we have a problem.
Absolutely.
None of these mothers, none of these parents, nobody in the school that had kids going to that school knew anything about any of this. Not until I posted it on my Facebook page, and then it got real big. I called a couple of media outlets that I have in my that I send people to, or send news stories to, and sometimes they pick them up, and sometimes they didn't. But Bert Mumolo on Channel 8. He was my first call, and he was down there that afternoon interviewing, mom number 2 about her. Sorry about that.
Now, do we
being
know
penetrated.
the alleged assailants? Are they the same group of kids? Do we know, or are they different?
Okay, so let me turn my volume down there. Can you guys still hear me?
We sure
Yeah.
can.
Okay, people are calling me. So mom number 2. So here's where I'll just say this. Long conversations with mom number 2 and number 1. With were they the same? And so mom number 1, I know that you'd told me that you didn't know in the beginning of who the perpetrators were, or who had done this to your daughter, but has your daughter spoke since we've spoken that she knows who they are, which kids did it?
I believe she does, but she's not opening up about it.
Did you ever ask her if it was the same kids that did that to that little boy?
Yes, I did, and she shuts down.
I got you.
Sad.
So
Very sad.
So yeah, and so here's, and yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought, because now I'm into this whole train of thought is that whenever mom number 1 went to the police department and filed a report. This investigation was open and closed within 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, that's my understanding. So let's introduce mom number one. For those just learning about your story and your child's story, can you just kind of share with us what led up to that day and how you first learned that something was wrong?
She was fine all day Friday evening. She was fine all day Saturday until about 5 o'clock. Her and her guests that were over at my house, I noticed she was running around, not walking up to anybody, and that's not her. She's a go-getter. She's friendly. She walks up to people. She got to make friends. That's how I knew October the 4th something was wrong at about 5 something, and I couldn't get her to come here. Then I
She was
finally asked.
withdrawn. Yeah, she had withdrawn from you already.
Yes. And so my guest that we had over, I asked one of them because they were around her more the afternoon, and I asked her my guest, and that's when she told me that my daughter told her that someone pulled down her pants and stuck their fingers up in her.
And mom number one, those guests that you speak of, they were family members, correct?
Yes.
So, and very close family members that we're talking about. So they're just not people that come over, just for a short amount of time.
Right.
But your guests were close family members.
Do we
Yes.
know how many teachers were on that playground that usually monitor it? Was it 2?
So
Or
there
am I-
was one in the report. Go ahead.
I've been told there's only at each playground time there's only been 2.
And how many children are in a classroom there?
Over
You know?
20 in each class.
Do you know what the population is of Sallisaw?
There's 4,300 registered voters
Okay.
in Sallisaw proper. Here in Oklahoma, my understanding is, and I don't quite understand the school systems here, but you can take your kids anywhere you want to, whether it's out of county or to whatever school you want to take them to, as long as you have transportation for them.
Right.
So,
So I'm looking up real quick. The population of Sallisaw as of 2024 was 8,708.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's small.
it's a small
Sure.
town, yeah.
Yep.
Now, mom number one, did the school contact you about the incident? If they did, like, what did they tell you had happened? Or did you just learn from your daughter's reaction after school?
My daughter was the one that told my family member, and when I heard it from her, I caught my daughter to ask her myself to hear it out of her own mouth, and she said, yes, the boy pulled down her pants and stuck his finger, and when I heard that,
Are you there?
Uh-oh.
okay, I'm here.
Okay, there you are.
Where was I at?
So the last is whenever you talked to your daughter, she told you that somebody, a classmate or a kid pulled her pants down.
Yes, and stuck his fingers in her. And when I heard that, I called Sallisaw Police Department to make a police report. And so they said they will send someone out to get the police report. And then about 10 minutes later, I had a Sallisaw police officer call me, said that they were waiting on someone from the school to take the police report since it happened on school grounds.
And so they did take a police report,
Yes.
but you had to initiate that. The school did not.
Yes. I initiated, the school did not.
So how did the school handle things like in those, once you initiated that report in the days afterwards, how did the school handle it? What did they say to you, or, what did they do?
We
It's okay. You can take
we
your time.
went to
Stress.
we end up had to go to the Safe Haven Advocacy here in Sallisaw for them to do a interview with her. So we did that. She did not want to speak to them about it, and then
Your daughter didn't want to speak with them.
yes, with an investigator.
And again, this was Donna Owens.
This
At
is
where?
back to, this is Donna Ohms. This is back can make that connection again, Sean.
So the investigator was Donna Owens, and that's the wife of John Owens, which is the investigator for our district attorney, which is friends with the judge.
Oh boy.
Has your daughter spoken about the situation at all, mom number one, since they tried to interview her?
Yeah, she's spoke here and there about it, and then when I question her more about it, she just shuts down and says, I don't want to talk about it.
And I want to interject something here real quick.
Go right ahead.
That mom number one has expressed to me, and mom number one, correct me if I'm wrong, please. But one of the things that your daughter had mentioned to you, and it needs to be brought forth, is that your daughter was punched in the face while she was during that act. So she was beaten, not just violated, but she was also beaten. And one of the things that I don't quite understand is that whenever you've got a professional interviewer saying, that's been to school for 40 hours, and you would think that whenever you got a 8-year-old little girl that's been beaten and violated, that she's not just going to open up to a stranger.
No,
I don't
absolutely
care.
not.
I don't care who you are.
It's hard
that's
enough
not
for
gonna
them to
happen
open up
overnight.
to a parent.
Yeah, or even a parent. And for them to know what's happened or know what's being alleged, to say that there's no need for a SANE exam, it destroys my hope and my trust in the system, because it doesn't get any more, I don't know, vivid, if you will. I mean, I what do you need to protect these kids? I mean, you've got a kid that's come out and said, "Hey, mom, this happened to me."
So, Sean, is there Sean or mom number one? Either one would be able to answer this. This elementary school that's had these two events take place, incidences, if you call it, crimes
Within 1 week, right?
within 1 week. We're talking a short time frame. Is there not an SRO assigned to this school?
Yes, there is, and we actually, so yeah, there is. So Katie Graham is the chief of police, and you've got for the school district. So let's back up there for a minute.
That's KD, as in the letters K and D, or
K and D.
Okay.
Correct. KD Graham. Yeah, it's a male officer. But let's back up here for a minute. I'm going to enlighten you a little bit more about Sallisaw School. About a year and a half ago, they had an SRO over at the high school that molested a high school student. And this was the SRO doing this. His name was Blaine Griffey. And when 2 months later, you had the coach molest another little girl, a coach. His name is Josh Bolin. He's in prison right now for this. And so when those two molestations happened at the high school, the city of Sallisaw washed their hands with providing SROs, because the SRO, Blaine Griffey, that worked for the Sallisaw Police Department, got caught. The city of Sallisaw said, we don't want to be the police department for the Sallisaw School District. You guys need to make your own district, make your own police department. They gave him a couple of guns, they gave him a car. And so they washed their liability with this. So now you've got a brand new police department with KD. So I want to make that separation from the city of Sallisaw Police Department to the Sallisaw School Police Department. And that was because there was two molestations about a year and a half ago.
And those specifically included the school
Students.
resource officers and students.
Yes. Blaine Griffey. Yep.
Sean,
And let me tell you how. Go ahead.
go right ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, let me tell you how this unfolded. And this is one of the big key points that made my Facebook page grow hugely in our community, was that Blaine Griffey was the school resource officer, worked for the city of Sallisaw Police Department. Steve Barrett, which is the superintendent, and I've got the audio of him telling me that the school is paying 30% of his salary. So he was employed by the school, so he was an employee of the school. Blaine Griffey, being a police officer, got nothing. They investigated it. They found no wrongdoing. 2 months later, Josh Bolin, the coach, molested a highway patrolman's daughter, and he's several years under the jail right now. And so you've got the police department, you got the police, the law enforcement. When they do something wrong, nothing happens. And then whenever you have a coach do something bad to a police officer's daughter, he's under the jail. And it's a problem here. And again, mom number one, I mean, I know you've told me, and mom number two has told me that whenever they first made the police report, they were told, they were instructed by the police department not to say a word to anybody about this.
Right. That was my next question. How was that delivered to you, mom number one? Like, as far as, not really saying anything about this.
He told me that I should keep my mouth shut, not to bring it out.
And who is he?
Katie Graham.
Yeah, the chief of police.
Wow.
And I've got a long audio recording. I don't know.
I'm
if
getting
you
ready
heard,
to pull that up right now, Sean. I was going to pull up your conversation with him, if you don't mind, and play it for the audience. Okay, let's do that real quick then.
Well, before you play that, can I just
go right
give
ahead.
a little bit of? So I called Katie Graham, the chief of police, and I said, "Hey, I need a redacted police report. How do I get that?" Because Channel 4029 wanted to cover the story for mom number two, of the little boy, and they called me back and said, "Hey, we want to do this story, but we would really like to get a redacted police report, and to just verify that this is under investigation before they, drive all the way down here. It's like, I don't know, an hour and a half drive for them." And so I called Katie and I said, "Hey, I need a redacted police report." And after he told me what you're getting ready to play, I don't want to spoil that, but after that, he explained to me why he doesn't want anybody to know about this, and it was basically because he thinks it's going to ruin his investigation, or it's going to hamper or harm his investigation. And so I wholeheartedly disagree with that, and I did not publish that part of that, but I disagreed with him wholeheartedly on keeping this quiet, because I think the citizens, the family members, the mothers and fathers of those kids over in these schools need to be made aware that these things are happening, and I won't go as far as saying allowed to be happening, but they're not doing much to prevent it either.
Right. There is a problem for sure. All right, let's play this conversation. This is Sean and Chief Katie Graham there in Sallisaw, and let's listen to this conversation.
So that number, but 4029 wants to get a hold of you guys, and basically request the redacted police reports, which I'd actually like to get a copy of the redacted police reports myself.
As soon as we get the police report finalized,
Okay.
you know,
I know that there was
about minors. There's not going to be a lot on there.
Yeah.
I'll probably get with the judge on that.
the judge.
Oh no.
Right. That right there was that was pretty interesting, wasn't it, Sean?
Yeah, so
Says he's got to get with the judge on these police reports.
yeah, so I want to clarify this for the viewers that, okay, that conversation was about mom number 2, the son that mom was told by that man, Katie Graham, that he was penetrated on the playground. And so, the judge that he's talking about is the father of the child that did the penetration. And this is per Katie Graham's. I mean, he told mom, your son was penetrated on the playground. The video shows the judge's son. I'm just, there's no other person that he could call. And I'm going to tell you, I've got a new video coming out. We actually confronted Katie Graham in person today. We went to the Sallisaw superintendent's office, and we had lots of questions for Steve Barrett over there, and Katie Graham and Kevin Kerr, his SRO, showed up, and we had lots of questions for him. And I asked him about which judge were you talking about, and he's like, well, I just none in particular. That was what he said. And look, there's never a need for a police officer to contact a judge to get permission to release a public
No,
document.
there's not. They just redact the names and stuff.
That's it.
There's-
And so
All right,
there's no way out of this one.
No. All right, let's continue. Then.
I was going to say, well, let's use a better one on that.
Everything, but to me, I take this job extremely serious. And with that being said, I don't want anybody thinking that I'm not on the victim's side on this.
Well, and I was told, I made a post and I called you out on it that you told the victim's mother not to go public with this, and I
asked her not to say any names of the other minors.
Yeah, and I totally appreciate that concept, and
that's it.
Okay.
I just didn't want. I just at this point in time, it's bad enough we got her kid as a victim. And until we get down to the bottom of it, there's no need in pulling kids. It could affect them for the rest of their life. And then all of a sudden, when the day's over with, we found them innocent. And, dang, the damage already been done.
This is the God's honest truth. There are no winners in this situation.
So I'm curious what you guys think about that. It sounds like what he's telling you is one thing, but what he actually told the mothers, or somebody told the mothers, was different. He's saying, he just said don't mention names. Moms are saying, they don't want this brought up at all, really.
His exact words to me is he did not want it brought up at all.
Right.
And that was the exact words of mom number 2, that she was told not to go public with this, and basically she said that's every reason why I'm going public with this.
Exactly.
And look, let's talk about actions, right? Nobody knew about mom number 1. I believe that if an incident at school has ever happened to this magnitude, that the police department and the school administration have a fiduciary duty to every single parent that has kids in those schools to inform them what's happening and what their actions and their plan of actions to keep this from happening again immediately.
Well, that's what kind of captures my attention, specific to mom number 1's child and their experience, that nobody knew. We're talking a young girl, 3rd grade, I think is what we said. She's 8 years old, has an experience with 3 individuals on the playground, same playground as the boy, a week later, and There's no communicate. Mom gets a communication about it, but that's it. There's nothing that says, hey, playground rules are going to change, or we had a situation. There is just absolutely nothing put out there to parents to let them know, this is happening. And were the parents of the boys that assaulted your daughter, mom number one, do you know if they were contacted and talked to about the situation?
Can you say that again?
Did the boys that assaulted your daughter, were you told if anybody communicated with the parents of those boys?
We don't know if it is, because she will not come out and say actually who it is.
Oh, so she hasn't named her accusers or
Not yet.
her violators.
No, not yet.
And so here's the issue with that. She has named their description. They had blue hair, I believe. Was it blue or pink?
Um, Blue or green, and then
Okay,
one
green.
of them has brown hair.
And so she knows who they are. And she will eventually, one day, sooner or later, hopefully sooner,
Right.
come out and say this is what happened. And look, at 8 years old, even so this is where I really get my feathers ruffled, is that you got a chief of police that has to call the judge to get permission to release a redacted police report, and you close the case. Her case has been closed. This case has been closed before the other one even happened. I think it was on the 12th or 9th. I have to look at my phone, but when I texted Katie Graham, I said, when was this case closed? Um, uh, he didn't respond for quite a while, and I actually had to ask him. This is a very easy question. Actually ended up saying, just tell me if this case is closed. Don't have to tell me when. Is it closed? And I had to even text him, hours and hours later. This is yes or no question. Yes, it's closed, or no, it's not. And he wouldn't even respond. Not till way, 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 way later. But so the question you asked earlier on mom number two, and we don't know who the boy was with the little girl, but we definitely know who the boy was with the little boy. And the teacher was 15 feet away. There was a teacher on duty 15 feet away in a gazebo, and their statement at that time, mother was told that they thought the boys were just playing around.
Right.
Playground
Horse
game, horse
playing.
playing, horse playing.
Hmm.
Well, there's
And
video, though. That's the problem I have with this entire situation. There's clearly, and I've heard the interview with mom number two, both the interview with both mom one and two, and I heard mom detail for you what she saw in the video, and it clearly there's a police investigation that needs to take place. One boy disappeared under 3.
yeah, so you had these 3 boys pinning to the ground, and there was other students that circled around. So in the video, mom number 2 claimed that she couldn't see the exact penetration. But what I do want to clarify, and this right here has kind of been a thorn in my side, is that you've got an attorney that's now representing one of the boys, and I think it's the coach's son. I'm not 100% sure. But he said that these boys were friends on the playground. Well, yes, they were friends. They were on the same football team. I do want to make very, very clear that when this boy was assaulted, the boy never spoke to these kids ever again, and nor will he. That friendship was broken at that time of penetration. And
Shame.
the attorney that got on News Channel 5, and I don't know, Kari, if you can look
Yes,
that up.
I have those. I do have
That-
those clips. I plan on playing those.
Yeah, that that those kids were just playing around, and whenever this incident happened, they got up and started playing around again together. That is the furthest from the truth. Whenever that incident was over, he got up, adjusted his shorts, ran off, and made this claim to the proper, the teacher or whoever who he reported it to.
And then they had
also,
him go back to class, correct?
yes, that's the other thing. So they take this kid that was, this fifth grader that was just violated, and they put him in the classroom back with his students, and like nothing ever
Unbelievable.
happened. Yeah, and look, I've never would have dreamt that they would have the audacity to do something like that. I think that they would probably call a nurse and call everybody else that needs to be called to get this child some help. But no, they just, hey, go back on in the class. Crazy.
So,
Yeah, it is crazy.
well, yeah,
And
you've got
so,
a child that's claiming something pretty outrageous that just happened, and they, instead of taking that kid aside, getting the other three aside,
Keeping them in
getting
a counselor's
stories,
office till things got
counselors,
sorted.
bring the cops in, because that's clearly a SRO, a cop, somebody of a law enforcement structure, to start asking questions. And they're like, go back to class, have a nice day. And then
yeah,
just nonchalantly tell mom, your son was penetrated. To use that word.
that word right there is so powerful. That's unretractable. You
Absolutely.
cannot unring that bell.
No, you
There,
can't.
there's no misspeaking, right? It's like, oh, hey, yeah. I mean, look, when you say your son was penetrated, that it's over.
Well,
It
so
is what that is.
and so with the ease, and I remember mom number 2 talking about that one. We're here sitting here listening to mom number 1 talk about the communications that she's had, and nobody's really jumping, nobody's reacting. So I'm curious, how many times has this been swept under the rug prior to mom number 2 coming out and saying something? Mom number 1's case was swept under the rug. This
So
seems like they're very familiar with how to manage these things without anybody knowing.
one of my highlights of today, when I was over at the superintendent's office with Steve Barrett, got him on camera, and I asked him a direct question. I said, do you think that 4 molestations in, say, a year and a half, maybe even 2 is too many? And he refused to answer that question.
I saw that.
And
I saw
so, my experience in doing what I've done and talking to, our community, if there's 2 incidences, there's probably 10. That's the way it is in Coweta. 2 came forward and they just fell out of the woodwork once it became public. It was just left and right. In fact, we're still getting people reaching out to us about bad things that are going on with kids. In
Yeah,
Coweta
we
schools.
will. We're going to dive into that one. And
And so here, whenever you have a judge's son. In fact, I tell you what, here's a prime example, and I don't know, Kari, if you've seen the video that I put up on Kari Wright. So I'm sure that everybody's familiar with the term of preferential treatment or professional courtesy.
Mm-hmm.
That happens here. In fact, this is what I believe these investigations, the judge's son is going to be afforded professional courtesy. Hands down, bar none. You don't have an investigation on this type of an incident with a child that made a claim and then won't speak about it because she's been beat while that was happening.
yeah,
To close it in just a couple of days. Kari Wright, she's a 20-year-old that was drunk over at the rodeo. I posted this video and it's got quite a few views on it. That she was afforded professional courtesy because her father was a deputy sheriff and everybody knew who she was. They all knew she was underage. She was drunk. She was at the rodeo grounds fighting. And then they let her go home. They didn't arrest her. They didn't put her in the drunk tank. They didn't do nothing. They let her go home and she ends up killing a guy on the freeway. She got in a wreck, an accident, and killing a semi driver.
Oh my word.
And this was within hours of her being released from the rodeo grounds. But the Sallisaw Police Department, professional courtesy, hey, we know who your dad is. You're not in trouble. You know, you're too drunk to drive. We got to find somebody to get you home. She's like, no, I'm driving myself home. I don't know if she drove herself home or not, but I do know within a couple hours there was a massive wreck on the freeway that ended in a fatality.
Oh my word.
And so that's the
Mm.
kind of professional courtesy that we're
Right.
fighting here.
It's
And this is
That's normal, I think, in these small towns. I mean, especially I'm in Oklahoma, in a town of 800 people, so I definitely get that preferential treatment aspect and
yes. So that it's one
things
of the
being swept under the rug, and it depending on who you are in the community and things like that. It
well,
just gets you that way.
it's who you know. It's what
Mhm.
how people know you, and oh, it's just so and so being so and so. It's Carrie,
Just
that kind
kids
of wraps us.
playing.
Yeah, just kids playing. It's not a big deal. They do that all the time. But the fact of the matter is that there's been enough transgressions that people are walking around without being
Here-
held accountable for anything.
let's go down this avenue. And mom number one, she adopted her daughter, and through the adoption process, had to obviously go to a judge, and the judge granted the adoption.
It just who is the judge by chance? It's a small town. Who is this? Is, how tightly wound is this? Is it the same judge by chance? Because we've only mentioned one judge.
Yeah, so there's 3 judges that sit on the Sequoia County District Courthouse. You've got Judge Payton, Judge Orndorff, and Judge Waters. And mom number one,
Yes.
we've spoke a lot about this, and this angers me probably more than anything out of all. I don't get angry very often, and it takes a lot to get me there. But this, when you told me, when you went in front of the judge to adopt your daughter, what did he ask you?
He had me take an oath that I would treat them, my daughters, as if they was my own children, and I said, yes, I would.
Was there anything else he asked you? That you would protect him, you'd protect these children as they're your own?
Yes. When I
I
took
know
that oath,
yeah. And we don't know if we don't know if the judge's son was the one that did the bad things to her daughter, but we do know that the judge's son did the bad thing to the son. And what angers
But-
me the most is you got a judge sitting up there dishing out these oaths to protect these kids.
So it is the
them.
same. It is the same judge.
Yes.
The judge wrapped up with the 3 boys who assaulted the boy is the same judge that granted the adoption of the daughter to your
Yes.
daughter, mom number 1, right? To
Yes.
your daughter?
yes, yes.
Now, you mentioned you've got daughters. Did I follow all the logistics of your daughter's story that your other daughter potentially saw the assault on her sister?
Yes.
So I can't be the only one that sees the irony and the hypocrisy spinning around. Like there's a lot of unpacking to do. You were told by this judge, I'll let you have these girls to take care of them and love them and protect them as long as you vow you'll do so. And
But he didn't
here,
say he had to protect him from his kid.
Right.
well, I mean,
Well-
he's abiding by his own oath, right? Going to protect his kid at all costs,
Never thought
regardless
of
of who it hurts.
Mom, what kind of communication have you had since then, like from the school or from law enforcement, other parents? Have you had any kind of communication since you filed that report?
No, only one that has contacted me is the school secretary at Eastside to ask me if my kids were going to come back to school.
And what'd you tell them?
I told her as right now they are not mental. I felt like they were not mental stable to go back to school right then and there because of the things they were telling me. That they didn't feel safe going back to school, and
I
that's
don't
the
blame
only
them.
one I've heard of.
Have you received, and I think I know the answer, but have you received any form of like support or resources from the community or the district, or you're just basically be quiet and move on?
Basically, yes.
And let me interject some stuff here. I asked mom number 2 the exact same question. Has anybody reached out to you? And her answer was yes, they did. They reached out to her. The school reached out to her. And I was so excited. I was thinking, they were going to see how her son was doing. And the only thing they asked her is if she could bring back the basketball jersey. That was it.
I heard
Just need to know when you're going to bring back our basketball jersey. Not how are you doing? Not how's your son doing? Not nothing.
And keep in mind, this child had been going to that school, I believe the mom said, since pre-K. So
Yes.
he'd been there for years. And
Yes.
all they had to say is, "Are you bringing his basketball jersey?" Let's continue with this this recording you did with the Chief Katie Graham real
Sure.
quick.
Sure.
Absolutely not.
There's going to be a victim, and can those victims flip flop? Absolutely, and I know that. But I am, I mean, I know that shit like that happens daily in school. You should see my phone. If anybody ever saw the inboxes of my phone, you'd shit yourself. There's just so much going on out there. All the way down to south to Tallahena. I've gotten calls today, and but no. My call to you is I couldn't get a hold of Kevin. I had your number given to me by mom. And so I tried to call you. Can I give you News 4920 or 2049's phone number so you can call her? Because what she's wanting to verify is that there was police reports made and that you guys are under investigation.
We are under investigation, but the police reports will be starting to be made tomorrow.
Yeah. Just
because that's what we do. We just, we're literally just, trying to finish up some witness statements and,
I got it.
And when we start, I know some guys, they might start a police report and then, add to it. That's not me. When I started, I just like to go and finish it. So I'm going to say by the, midday Friday, something like that, it will be done.
Yeah.
I felt like during this part when I was listening that they were really dragging heels. They really didn't want to make this police report. I don't know if that's the case, but that's how when the chief is saying that, that's how I kind of took it.
Well,
Well,
it kind of seems like the only one that is holding somebody accountable and having them answer for the work that needs to be done is Sean. Like it seems.
That's pretty much correct. And here's the thing: I've throughout my professional career, I've had to write a lot of reports, and I can assure you, and I'm sure you guys do the same thing as reporters, is that you try to write as you go so you don't miss anything. Whenever you try to write several days later on something that's happened, you tend to leave a lot of stuff out.
You do, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way he, prescribes to write reports, I mean, that's his own doing, but I think it's a flawed process. Hey, I'm gonna let this thing unfold, and whenever it unfolds, I'll just write the report then. And that's, look, I firmly believe that they had no intentions of ever really investigating this. And then we're going to get into something here in a little bit about jurisdiction. They have severe jurisdiction issues over a lot of this.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, but yeah, that day, whenever I made that post on my Facebook page, on the Sallisaw Transparency page, my phone literally blew up, and I learned a very good lesson that, you know, when you have Facebook Messenger, if they disable your account, you lose all your messages. So I've lost thousands upon thousands of messages from you know, people throughout the years of stuff that we need to investigate. And so, yeah, I've never seen anything like this. And
I
I
sure hope
come
you
from
get that back.
I'm trying. I've asked all my supporters and all my followers to write Facebook and say this was an injustice, and for whatever powers, you know, they took my Facebook page. They don't even communicate to you. They just turn you off like a light switch, and
Yeah.
no explanation, no reason, just you're done. And so,
Yeah, people were reporting you. Obviously, people that didn't want, this talked about started
sure.
reporting your page, and Facebook doesn't really take a good look. They just had so many reports, and yeah, they shut it down. Okay, let's continue with this real quick.
And for 4029, I'd really rather just wait till like Monday because I've got some investigations that'll be going on tomorrow.
Yeah. So,
You know,
I know, and
I really hope this doesn't hurt this mama's case by going public with
Oh,
it.
I
hope she just don't incriminate something.
yeah. So here's where I stand with that. I think every case that you guys ever investigate should be publicly made immediately, and here's why. You know, you guys say that this hurts the case, but does it? The public needs to know. I mean, there's something happened there, one way or the other, and there's those kids' safety is totally not being protected by the principal and the school, which they have an obligation to do that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And so they're failing. And so you've got, I don't know how many kids go to that school, 5, 4, 5, 6, 700 kids or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Their safety is in jeopardy by not knowing. In fact, I know for a fact that there was somebody that filed a police report with you folks the week prior to this. Same kind of situation, recess, lunch, little girl kind of was touched inappropriately and to the point to where she's kind of not doing real well right now. I talked to that mama today.
Well, there has been a police report done on that one.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? So now we got patterns. And my concern is nobody knows about these patterns, and when's the big one going to hit?
Right.
And so look, I think it needs to be public. I think that when police and look, we'll differ on opinions, and I still respect you as a police officer, and we can have different opinions. I think everything that ever happens to a school or to a public official or anything that has to do with tax money needs to be made public immediately, because people need to make decisions based on safety concerns.
I still stand by that, hands down.
Officer. I'm sorry, I was on mute. Duck said, was that a threat, officer? And I had the same kind of feeling when I heard it, when the officer or when the chief says, this might hurt, I'm afraid it might hurt the mom's case. That to me feels like a roundabout way of saying, hey, don't be talking about this stuff. And, we're taught to trust law enforcement, believe in law enforcement. They're there to help us. And if you don't know how to navigate, and who does know how to navigate things like this? Most people don't have these things happen. And I think that when especially a chief says something like that, it is intimidating. And was it intentionally being intimidating? That would be the question I'd have about that. And I also wonder what the audience feels about making it public. I am with Sean on this. I think it should be made public. I think that parents and the community need to be aware when these things are happening so that we can make the choice of how to best protect our own children. Right. I do, nobody has been charged and found guilty, so obviously we wouldn't release names of the children, but the incidents themselves, I strongly believe need to be talked about.
And here's the biggest part that we not need to lose focus of is that whenever you live in a community such as ours, the goalpost for criminal activity, there's a threshold. Okay, what meets criminal activity? When that goalpost is constantly being moved, there's no standard for these people, right? It depends on who they are. And so, look, I assure you, if that judge's son would have been pinned down and penetrated, there would already been arrests and people had already been facing charges.
Oh,
Promise.
absolutely, without a doubt. They'd probably already have them locked up. Yes.
And so the threshold or the goalpost for criminal activity in our community is moved all the time based on who you are and how much money you have.
Right.
And it's not fair.
So, mom number one, you didn't come forward until the incident with the boy came public. When you realized that there was like little to no action being taken with your daughter, were there any steps that you did decide to take yourself, or were you feeling kind of like what I just described, that law enforcement is telling you one thing and that you just kind of need to go with that?
Yes. The law enforcement was telling me one thing, but my gut was telling me to do something else. And that's
Yeah,
why I
that's
got a hold of Sean and had Sean say, hey, this is not the first time it's happened. One other time it has happened, at least a week prior to mom number two.
yeah.
And so, and when she contacted me, I mean, obviously I asked her about the entire situation, and it was a very short amount of time when I said, hey, I tell you what, let's do. Let's get mic'd up and let's go into the Child Advocacy Center and let's ask for those records. And we did. And this is something that's going to shock. This is going to shock the audience, and it needs to shock the audience. I think everybody in the entire world. If we could put this in the ears of everybody in the entire world, it would floor them. And so we went over to the Advocacy Center and we talked to Shauna Morris, and Shauna Morris says, we questioned her why there was not a SANE exam done on either of these kids, because they're both, look, the police department was telling the mother number two that her son was penetrated. That warrants a SANE exam, hands down, bar none, not even a question. Little girl claims that she was penetrated. When we asked the Advocacy Center why no SANE exams were done, they said they didn't want to put the kids through any more trauma, any more embarrassment, or whatever word you want to put to it. But what was really great about this was she said, you as a mother, and correct me if I'm wrong, mom number one, you as a mother have every right to take your child to a doctor or a hospital and ask for them to be checked out.
Yeah, that's what she said.
And so I told mom, as soon as we walked out of that Child Advocacy Center, I said, go gather up your daughter and take her over to the hospital. And here's the best part of this whole conversation in that advocacy group or advocacy center is that she said, you need to take her to your primary health provider. And mom number one basically told her, said, I can't, because that's the judge's brother. So she now can't take her daughter to the judge's brother. So she takes them over to the hospital. And so mom carries her daughter over to the hospital. Not that day, not the day. It was I believe the very next morning, correct?
Yes.
And go ahead and just tell her when you walked into that hospital. Tell them what happened.
I asked to have a SAM done on my daughter. They asked me who sent her. I said nobody sent me but myself, but I was concerned for my daughter that I was getting done wrong by the Advocacy Center, Safe Haven people, and they had a nerve to call them about it.
And when they called them, what did they tell you when the nurse called over to the Advocacy Center?
They had me come back there and talk to Shauna Morris.
What did Shauna tell you?
She's like, I didn't tell you to take her to the hospital. I told you to take her to PCP. There's health and wellness you could take her to, which I'm not fond with health and wellness. And that she said that they mainly use health and wellness. So that's another reason why I'm not fond of using health and wellness as well. She, matter of fact, the following next day, she posted on her Facebook account, because I have the screenshot of it, how she was talking about my case without not giving no names, but was talking about it.
Yeah, so did the hospital even look at your daughter?
No, they refused to look at her.
And you said that she was talking about it on social media on her personal account without naming
Yeah.
names?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh
I've got,
my.
yeah, so Donna Owens, whenever I made that first initial post, I'm pretty hard on public officials. I don't have any, I don't hold back on public officials. When you're being paid by tax dollars and you're doing things under the table or wrong, I'm not, I'm the nicest guy in the world. I'll give you a shirt off my back. But whenever you get into that position and you're doing bad things, I'm not real easy on you. And so I posted about Donna Owens and not not having SANE exams. And Donna Owens, she got on my Facebook and she let me have it. And I've got the screenshots. It's actually quite interesting. And I responded to her with that. But again, Shauna Morris, the day after mom number one took her daughter in to have her looked at the hospital, and was rejected because Shauna Morris said, "Hey, there's nothing here. Case is closed. Don't need to do anything." And so they rejected that. And I'll tell you this. So, and I posted that up on my Facebook. And I've got registered nurses from Arkansas and from Oklahoma that has sent me oodles and oodles of information and places to report this. And so we're gonna, here in the next week, we're gonna start reporting this incident that happened over there at Sallisaw. But
Wonderful. I'm so glad that you and these moms connected so that they have somebody that can help, help them
Sure.
navigate and
Yeah.
yeah, it's
and
probably
so-
a very lonely road, Mom, I'm sure, and
well,
scary one too because it's the future of your child.
it is. And you know what's crazy about this is that this is going to stay with this child forever. And there are people out there that's not even willing to look at her. I don't know who the nurse was over at Sallisaw Hospital. I will find that out. I mean, I have 12,000 members in my Facebook group, which gives me about 22,000 eyeballs in our community. I don't usually have too many problems finding out who's where and what.
Right.
And I am going to find out who this nurse that rejected service. I've never, I mean, if you walk your child into a medical facility, I believe they're mandated reporters.
Yes,
If you're saying this situation happened, I'm being told by professional nurses that do this for a living in Arkansas and in other places in Oklahoma that they can't refuse. And by them refusing has put in tremendous amounts of liability on that hospital.
it is.
And so,
Yeah, and mom number one, Becky Joe in our chat commented, and I was just going to say pretty much the same thing, but she said, "I'm so sorry this has happened to your babies, and I'm praying for you all." So as a mom,
Thank
I
you.
have no doubt that it's a very scary road. You want to continue? Let's continue with the end of this. We just have a few more minutes, I think, of this interview.
Yeah, my phone's at 1%, and if it goes dead, I'm sorry.
Okay,
That's
no
okay.
problem.
We can always
We
we
understand.
can continue the conversation later on with you. We can schedule another time for you to come back, Mom One.
Yeah, I have it on the charger, but it just won't charge.
That's fine. If you wind up, it dies, no problem. We absolutely appreciate you coming on. and sharing your story. I just lost all my tabs.
Very much
And
so.
you know, and one of the things that I want to point out, and we haven't talked about in this interview at all, but I've been thinking a lot about this, is that, you know, whenever you have, look, I'm just gonna, I mean, I'm just gonna be frank. Look, Oklahoma, we're 50th in education. We are dead last when it comes to education. And with that, I don't, you know, a lot of these educators that are educating our kids was educated here. And I'm struggling with the fact that if you are undereducated and you don't have the financial means to fight something like this, they take advantage of that. They being the system, the courts, the law enforcement, they they um they take advantage of that wholly, and it's not fair. And that's why I fight as hard as I can to bring equality into our community. And you know, again, if this would have been the judge's son, there would have been arrest made and somebody had been already in jail with probably no bond, um, along with their parent. Um, I almost everything that I've worked on in the last 2 years, and I've gotten a lot of people fired. I've gotten chiefs of police fired. I've gotten 911 dispatcher coordinators, the head guys over there at the 911 center fired. I've gotten city managers fired just by investigating and finding, you know, uh, a lot of it has to do with sexual type stuff, nature, you know, sexual nature stuff that's inappropriate in workplaces. Um, but it's not. Um, there's a huge inequality.
Right.
It's not equal. Our justice system is not equal where we live.
Am I echoing?
I
No,
don't think so.
No? Okay.
Mm-mm.
While we still have mom here, if the district or officials are watching this tonight, what would you want them to hear directly from you?
I want justice for my child. I want it stopped. I don't want this to happen to someone else. It needs to be fixed and fixed right, not to go underneath the rug.
You're absolutely right. There's no reason for this to go this path. There's no reason why your daughter's situation was not discovered until it happened to a boy. And if the two are related, if the boys, the three who assaulted the boy are the same three who assaulted your daughter, then culpability goes further than just those three boys. It's again, those three boys, if they're the same set of boys between your daughter's situation and the son that was assaulted, they're too comfortable. They are way too comfortable doing something like this and in broad daylight, literally broad daylight in front of classmates with teachers close by. They've gotten away with it before. This isn't their first rodeo.
and today I actually had the opportunity and the pleasure to ask the superintendent of all these schools, Steve Barrett, ask him straight up, is 4 molestations in a couple of years, is that too many? And
I
he
saw
basically
that interview.
no comment.
He treated you like a typical administrator of an educational facility who's just trying to make it look like you're being heard, and but we really can't say much to it. You know, if I say anything, then we look guilty. If I say anything, then we look responsible. If I say anything, then we start owning some responsibility and accountability. And so, and I was not surprised by the way he responded to your questions at all, Sean.
And
Let's
go ahead.
There was a comment. Come on, go ahead, Sean. I'll read the comment in a second.
Yeah. So whenever why are we paying these administrators? We're paying them $100,000+ a year to protect our kids, to educate our kids, to give a safe environment for this education to take place. And whenever you have a failure in that scenario, they don't have the tenacity to own it, to say,
Agreed.
you're right, Sean, 4 is too many. Steve Barrett, if you're listening, why couldn't you just say, Sean, 4 is too many, and here's what our plan of action is going to do? No. That's not what you said. You said no comment. That means to me, and that's telling me and my followers, and hopefully everybody else on planet Earth, is that you really don't care about these kids. You say you do, but your actions are showing different. And
Agreed.
you know, look, if I was the administrator, and always, whenever I quiz somebody or I go in there and I'm hard on somebody, I go in there with an expectation. I know what I'm going to ask them, and I have an expectation of how they're going to answer. And usually, it's rare that my expectations are fulfilled. And Steve Barrett failed horribly today. Um, they say we care. They say that we want this to be better. And just like mom number one, you know, she wants this to be fixed correctly.
Yeah.
I have zero. Well, look, we asked Steve Barrett today, the superintendent, if we could just have a meeting for the parents, and he denied that meeting. He said, "Oh, that sounds like a good time. That sounds like a good plan, but not right now." Well, when is a good time, Steve? When? 2 years from now? While you get 6 or 8 more of these incidences happen? Because that's basically what he said today. He said, that sounds like a good idea, guys, but not right now. Well,
Well, that kind of segues into the comment that I've got highlighted on the screen from Duck Duck, who says, any chance of victims' families um, filing a civil suit to produce evidence, videos, communications between school, law enforcement, superintendent, things of that nature. I don't know. I'm not familiar with all of the legalities regarding a civil lawsuit. We don't even have a criminal case that has been established by law enforcement at this point.
yeah. So I'm working on a case down in Lafleur County um, over a molestation by a grandfather on a young kid for 5 years. So a 5-year-old kid all the way up till she is 10.
Mhm.
And she went and talked to a civil attorney to file a civil lawsuit, and that destroyed her criminal case. And so um, it because the defense can say, look, you're just after the money. And so until a criminal case is completed and it's ran its course and it comes to fruition of guilty or not guilty, I don't think it would be wise for anybody to file a civil suit. Because it would affect the outcome of the criminal case based on motivation.
It depends on, like, for this, we're looking at another case, the Kansas Moms case. There is a civil suit that was filed after the criminal charges were filed and criminal proceedings had started. Now, whether one was related to the other for what you're describing, I don't know. You just want to see somebody do something to get the justice that mom number one is asking for, and that her child and mom number two's child, the little boy that was assaulted, they should have that. They should totally
Oh,
have those
absolutely.
opportunities to be heard. And so it just,
Well,
I'm
well,
really leveled by the whole situation.
and let's let's look at back, okay? So before there was a Sean Buckner and Sallisaw transparency page, nothing was ever brought to the forefront. There was no medium for that to happen.
Right.
And you know, this isn't new here. You can go back years and years and years, and these girls that have been through grade school and high school here. I've got a notebook full of names of everybody that's been done wrong by some public official, whether it was a cop or whether it was a school teacher or, you know, of that sort. Um, and Katie Graham, you know, he said, hey, you know, if you go public with this, this is going to hurt the case. Well, these girls that was messed with prior, their case never saw, you know, the fruition of a guilty verdict. Not all of them, most of them, no. Maybe some of them, maybe 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, maybe. But whenever we shed light on it, it seems like now we need to talk about it and something needs to be done.
Absolutely. Nothing gets solved, swept under the rug. I want to ask Mom, what does justice look like for you at this point?
Honestly, I can't. I don't have no words right now.
But
Is there anything you'd like to see happen or that you would have liked to see happen that didn't?
Whoever did this to my child, I want them to get help so they wouldn't do this to another child.
I think that's an excellent message for
it
sure.
is. Mom, number one, are you from Sallisaw originally?
Yes,
So you've lived there your whole life, and
off and on. Off and on. I grew up in Fort Smith, but over the summer months I would come here because I
Mhm.
had family here in Sallisaw. And then when I turned 18, I moved here and been here ever since.
Okay. So has anybody reached out to you, and you don't need to say any specifics, but has anybody reached out to you to say, this happened to my family as well, but we can't come forward? Don't tell anybody, don't say that we said that, but it is happening in our school district. Has anybody come forward to you at all, reached out to you?
No, no.
It's
What changes do you think could possibly happen in the school system so that other parents don't have to sit where you are right now? Is there anything you think of that might have prevented this?
If people will just speak up.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Can I weigh in on that?
Absolutely, Sean.
So I've been thinking a lot about like the solution, right? And there's no perfect solution, but there are some solutions that would, if it was implemented, it would change things. And here's where we fail as a community in general in the United States, is that the people that allow this to happen. And look, there was a teacher 15 minutes away. I can't confirm this, but if I was a betting guy, which I am, I would probably think that that teacher is probably on their cell phone, maybe scrolling through the Sallisaw transparency page. I don't know.
I probably bet right with you.
But one of the solutions that I would like to have implemented is that whenever you entrust the dearest, the most precious thing that you could ever have, your kids, to a public school, and that kid goes to school in one piece, and he comes or she comes home broken into a million pieces, that the person that was responsible for their safety to be held accountable, the teachers, the principal, the superintendent. You guys are tasked to keep a safe environment, a uh, a safe environment. Look,
Yeah.
and you failed to do this, not on one, two, but three, but four kids that I know happened within the last year and a half. They
It's not
will not face
acceptable.
charges. They will not have. They'll go home and they will sleep like a baby tonight. They will not have any skin off their teeth. None. Not the principal, not the teachers that was there watching it happen, not the superintendent, not the school board that elected these people or hired these people to be in this situation. None of them. And until we start holding people accountable for their failures, nothing's ever going to change. And so, look, you have these school teachers out there on their cell phones. They ain't watching those kids. They're worried about what's going on Facebook or X or Twitter, TikTok. They're not
Absolutely.
watching these kids. This
I
this
think a
teacher
lot
was
of
14 feet.
these policies that are in place for reporting these kind of incidents protect the institution more than they do the children.
Sure,
But
absolutely.
is Oklahoma, do they not consider teachers as mandated reporters?
Yes, they do.
Well, this gets all kinds of shaky and blurry the more questions that we ask.
Every person that was involved with this was a mandated employee. You got the teacher, you got the principal, you got the chief of police, you've got the nurse over at the hospital that failed to look at this little girl. You've got the advocacy center. They're all mandated reporters.
It's just failure after failure. Mom,
Totally.
sassy nurse in our chat. I don't know if you can read the comments, but she said, Mom number one, my prayers are with you. I have been in your shoes, and I hope and pray you get justice.
Thank you.
I will say this, and thank you for that comment. I'm not going to stop until both of these kids get justice.
And that
I
was going to
won't.
be my next question, Sean. What can people watching do? What can Tara and I do respectfully to help keep pressure for transparency and justice?
So, yeah. So look, whenever this starts, I mean, the wheels of justice are slow. We know that, but they never stop. And so, what could you do to help us? These families is, I got deplatformed. My voice was a very large voice for underprivileged people here that was being done wrong. Communicate with Facebook and try to help me get my Facebook page back. I don't know what I did wrong. I followed every rule that I knew. I mean, I might have violated a rule for I don't know what I did, but I do have an X account, and support me on X account. We are creating a TikTok account and a Truth Social, and I don't think I'm going to go to Instagram because that's controlled by Facebook. But join the Sallisaw transparency page if you want to help these moms. I know that there's quite a few members of our community that has reached out and wants to hand these moms some money to help.
Right.
With and I'm not a big fan of GoFundMe, but I'm a big fan of reaching out, and I'll give you the number to get a hold of these moms and give them money yourself. That's much appreciated to help with legal defense or help counseling for these kids or whatever the case, that they can use this for if they want to help. But the biggest help is to be vocal about it.
Yes.
To not let this go under the rug, not let the system diminish these crimes to a point where it's just recess games. It's not recess games, guys.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's
And
not.
Mom, I know you said your daughter really just shut down. How is she doing now? Whatever you're comfortable sharing emotionally, but is she getting the support that she needs?
Yeah, she was already in counseling before this happened, and our counseling said she could see a change in her since the incident has happened. She is not herself.
So sad.
It's
Yeah,
awful.
and that's something that I hope the counselor can document well.
Yes.
That it needs to
The change.
The change. And look, there's so many broken pieces to our system down here. I hope that one day it will be fixed. You're seeing the damage that it's doing to our community, and I honestly think it's going to take somebody from coming in from the outside to to make changes here.
Yeah.
Mom, what do you wish people understood about what families are going through after something like this? Because I know that the town is probably split. There's probably half that, are supportive and there's half that probably aren't. But what do you wish people understood about what you're going through when something like this happens? Is she still with us?
I'm not sure if she's.
Did her
Mom,
phone
are you
die?
there? She may be talking, but she may not be coming through. Nope. I think the phone finally gave out.
Yeah. She
Okay.
just left my screen.
Sean, is there anything that you want the community to understand about this situation that they might just not? People, outsiders, how can they understand this situation better?
Well, so that's a good question. That's actually a really good question. I've not really actually thought about. I'll just say this. Look, I come from a large city. I come from Phoenix, and the outskirts of Phoenix. And so I've never been exposed to any of this type of political. Um, it's a lot of political stuff that goes on here, and so whenever I moved here when I was 48 years old. Uh, um, I'm now 55, and coming from a place that if this happened in our school, from where I was at, one, the schools would be so large that this couldn't be swept under the rug. There was policies and plans and procedures that would take place, and everybody would know about it immediately, and it would be dealt with in a proper manner. You didn't have people coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, this happened to me last week." Oh well, why didn't anybody know about it? Like mom number one, you know, when mom number two come out and said, "Hey, this is happening," you know, that never happened from where I come from. And it's because the schools are so large they really couldn't sweep it under the rug. So whenever you're here in small communities, um,
It's
the
hard to
friend,
understand. Like
it's hard.
Carl in the chat said, big city folks have absolutely no idea how small town politics work.
And I absolutely, and I come from that, and this is why I created the Facebook page, because my family, we're fairly prominent in our community. I decided to retire here because I'm Cherokee Indian. I wanted to be closer to my family and to have the benefits of what the Cherokee Nation gives its members or its citizens.
And that's
And
another thing I'd kind of like you to explain.
yeah,
There's
so
a tribal issue.
yeah, there's a huge tribal issue going on here. But yeah, I want to finish on like what it's like. So it baffles my mind for an administrator, a principal, a chief of police, or even a police officer that would engage in saying, "Hey, we need to cover this up. Hey, I know that it's the judge's son doing this, but I don't care. The judge's son is gonna pay the price." And here's another thing too I want to add. This kid's 10 years old. Should he know right from wrong? Probably. I don't. I can assure you that when I was 10 years old, that we never thought about doing anything like that. I think maybe flattening somebody's bicycle tire if we wanted to get back at them for whatever
Right.
reason. There's never been a thought process in my head that you would violate somebody's body like that.
No, and you do have to ask, where did they learn
Where?
this, or where'd they come up with this hat? And I'm sure I'm going
And
to
the
give.
other thing is too, and I've said this to a lot of people in our communities ask me, "Sean, what do you think about this?" And I'm like, well, here's what I think. This was planned. You don't have three kids acting in concert doing an act without talking about it first. You're not going to get two kids to hold a kid down and one do what he did. You know, you're not
Right.
going
Yeah.
there's
Agreed.
got to be a half-baked plan at some point in time. Hey, let's go get this kid, throw him down, and I'm going to stick my finger in. Okay, that never crossed my mind as a kid,
No.
at 10 or 12 or ever, like ever.
No, it wouldn't.
But my going back to like the when you've got, look, over at that school, you got the principal, his wife, his cousin, his aunt, his uncle, they all work there together. And so if you're not part of that family and you're an
Mm-hmm.
outsider, that didn't happen. You know, these things didn't happen. And that nepotism is a big thing here. Because we're small, you know, it's a small town. And look, Sallisaw is really not that small. I mean, we're the county seat. We've got, you know, 10,000 people in this city, 38,000 people in the county. You know, there's enough people to work these jobs that it don't have to be a family member. They elect and choose to put them there.
Right. Yeah.
And so you got the principal, you got his wife is the whatever she's doing over there, and then the whole family's over there. I don't know how to explain it. So, you know, when you get embedded into a system, it's real easy to keep things under wraps, right?
It
When they're embedded that deep or that wide. I feel that that's a problem, and I've been very vocal about not so much the schools, and the school issues have been real new to me in my platform. As far as I've always went after bad cops or bad city administrators or 911 operators or 911 coordinators that are, you know, doling out free money and asking for bad things from their employees and stuff like that. But this school thing is a whole new avenue.
And you know, once we started to look into this, we saw these others that had popped up.
I'm going to tell you right now.
There's a
look,
lot going on in Oklahoma right now.
No. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now. So this happened on a Tuesday. I was it the 13th? I don't have a calendar in front of me, but whatever Tuesday, a week and a half ago was, this broke, and since that Tuesday, we had mom number one come forward. We had a letter drafted by Muskogee County Sheriffs that they're investigating a sexual assault on a student. You got Coweta. I think Ron's up there right now with 10 or 12 students that come forward that they said this has happened to them, and they've done nothing. And the parents, yeah, it was crazy. There's videos being released about Coweta stuff. Tallahina's had some stuff. Durant has had some stuff that's coming forward since this is broke.
Yeah.
So everybody's been real quiet. And I'm working on
wonder,
it.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it all happened just bam. It happened on that 13th. I released it on my page, channel 49, channel 2040 or 4029, channel 8, channel 5, channel 6. They all aired it the same day. And then it just started just snowballing.
Mm-hmm.
Things
I
are
want
falling out
to
of
play real quick this clip. It does include an attorney for one of the children that are, you know, being alleged that they did this. Let me play this real quick for the audience.
They have increased security here at Eastside Elementary School as a precaution.
Hey, was that echoing?
No.
No.
I have a bad echo. Okay, as long as you guys don't have one, I can handle it.
They tell me there have not been any incidents due to walkouts or protests, and we're not naming any of the kids or families involved in the ongoing assault investigation.
The school resource officer told me that my son had been penetrated on the playground. It's like you think, oh my God, how did this happen to my kid at school, the place he is supposed to be safe at?
We're not naming her, but that's what the Sallisaw mom says she was told happened to her 11-year-old son on the playground during recess at Eastside Elementary School last week on October 16th. She says she watched a school surveillance video of what happened and then talked to her son about it.
You see them pick my son up and throw him on the ground. And a bunch of boys huddled around him, so you couldn't really see anything at that point in time. But then you see him jump up and adjust his pants and take off running. He did tell me that 2 boys held him down and 1 boy did it. It was the cops that told me that they was the one that penetrated him, that threw his shorts.
Things have gotten out of control. I mean, everybody's jumping to conclusions and talking about staging walkouts and threatening the families. People are just destroying their lives and these families' lives over allegations that they heard on social media.
Tad Bogan represents the parents of 1 boy who was suspended for 5 days and who's now being investigated. Bogan says what happened on the school playground was not sexual assault.
People need to remember that they're talking about 11-year-old children here. These boys were all friends. They played sports together. They hung out together. They were friends. There was nothing sexual about what happened. There was no sexual assault. It was boys being boys and horseplay on a playground.
But how is holding down a little boy by his arms and his legs, horseplaying and playing around? It's 11-year-old little boys. Like, I don't know what I want the justice to be, you know what I mean? But for them to not get away with it, I just don't think 5 days is good.
Investigators tell me when finished, the prosecutor will review the case and determine if any criminal charges should be filed. In Sallisaw, Brett Rains, 4029 News.
Oh, Brett. I didn't know Brett did that story.
So boys being boys, huh?
Yeah, so look, I've been threatened to be sued for voicing my opinion on my Facebook by the judge's son's family. And my response to them was, I start writing it. I don't care. You don't get a chief of police tell that mama that her son was penetrated.
And then act like it didn't happen.
Yep. I mean, you don't, look, he didn't, look, mama number 2 didn't walk into that principal's office and they say, hey man, they were just out here just, boys being boys and they're just having playground games. That infuriates me. That right there minimizes the severity of what these and look, I'll be honest with you, and I've said this publicly on Facebook. I don't want to find the tallest tree and hang these boys from these trees. Do they need to be taught that this is wrong? Apparently, because their parents ain't doing it. Somebody's not teaching these kids that that's wrong.
Well, so I know that's been a big conversation piece is where do these young boys learn to do that? What's happening in the home? What's happening here? And we've got to remember, folks, that social media is a thing, and these kids probably all have phones that are not being monitored. And despite parents' best efforts to monitor, kids will find a way. Look back on our childhood, and we found a way to get away with things, to do things. We found a way. So these kids are, and I've heard there's some different TikTok challenges out there, something along these lines. So these kids, it could be a TikTok challenge or social media challenge. It could be, if these kids have older siblings, specifically college ones who've been to college, and, they talk about the hazing and things that happen in college. These kids are overhearing it, taking it to the elementary school. It could be any number of things. So I don't know that the boys are being taught this, right? I think they are not being held accountable for making bad decisions that impact others. And so,
and I've been very vocal to our community through my Facebook page and through X and YouTube, is that it's not the boy. It is the boys that need to be held accountable at some level. I get it. They're kids. I would like to think they know right from wrong at this age. But who needs to be held accountable are the parents, are the administrators, the teachers that was 15 feet away on their phone not watching. Those are the ones that need to be held accountable. They're the ones that allowed this to happen. I mean, it would have been a real easy task to say, hey, boys, blow a whistle, break it up. You all ain't pinning him down. Nah, that didn't happen. But there was teachers on the playground. Supposedly watching these kids, but it's just, normal biasy, you're out there 300 days a year and nothing ever happens. you know, so you don't have to really watch that close because it's a small town and everybody knows everybody. You know,
Sean, when you speak to parents who've gone through something like this, what kind of support do you say they need the most?
you were breaking up. What I heard something about Facebook.
Oh, I said, when you speak with parents who've gone through something like this, what kind of support do you say that they need the most?
Yeah, so that's a good question. You know, in this community, I mean, they've been conditioned for this to just be acceptable, right? I mean, look at this mom number one. She made a police report. It was closed in 5 or 6 days, and she was told don't speak a word about it. I mean, this is the conditioning that these people are asked for. So they don't really know that they even need support. This is just a commonplace thing here. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth. And so, you know, when these mothers reach out to me, they know what they're going to get. They're going to get somebody that's going to hold somebody accountable, not through the court of the justice court, but through the court of public opinion
And pressure, right?
and pressure.
I
And
asked Mom one this question, but I want to ask you as well. If you could get one message directly in front of the school administrators or lawmakers right now, what would it be?
yeah, so I kind of touched a little bit on this is to hold look, the school board, you got a whole panel of people up there that's been elected. They need to hold that superintendent, the principal, and the teachers that were responsible for keeping the safety of those kids. You need to hold them responsible. Is holding them responsible firing them? Sure, get them out of there. There's a lot of people looking for jobs right now that could probably do better because what they've done here is done nothing but fail. I'll tell you how bad it is over here in Eastside, Sallisaw Eastside School. John Jones is the principal. There was a principal there named his last name was Jasna. They fired Jasna for failing, but they created a position called the electricity hall monitor. He runs around and makes sure that all the lights are off because they wouldn't fire him. Still be paid the same as the principal, but he's got a job that he's the electrician hall monitor or the electric hall monitor. And so sometimes I believe that you just need to be fired. Look, if being a principal and you're not capable of keeping your school safe, go put roofs on or go lay floor tile or go do something different because you're not working here. It's not working. Same thing for Steve Barrett, the superintendent. He's got 4 molestations in the last year and a half. 4. How many is enough, Steve? I asked him today, and he couldn't say.
Unbelievable.
Right.
And so, when do we just start firing these people and replacing them with bigger and better individuals that have a better insight of how to keep these places safe?
Yeah.
Lawmakers, man, I haven't even really thought about that, but I think there should be laws implemented that, hey, if you're on watch to these kids and these kids are violated in any way sexually, that you're going to be held just as responsible as the guy doing the sexual molestation or of some sort. You're facilitating that, in my opinion. I mean, start holding these people that are supposed to be there for security and to create a safe environment. Start holding these people accountable. And if you're not going to do it legally, at least fire them. I mean, it's like you can't. Nobody will fire anybody anymore.
Right.
You've
Well,
been close to these families, and we know mom number 2 had a hard time coming on this evening. How do you feel they're holding up emotionally with all this attention?
Yeah. So so that's a good question. So whenever they call me and they want me to take this public and advocate for them, as hard as I advocate, I have a conversation with them. I'm like, look, this is not going to be easy. You have in a community like we live in, I mean, everybody's pretty much related to everybody. I mean, there's a lot of family connections here. So half of my supporters, they have family that hate me.
Right.
Because
Yeah, that's what I said. The
I
town's
advocate.
probably pretty split,
It is, and that's okay. And I love my haters just as much as I love my people that advocate for me. I don't really have a problem, because here's what happens: even the haters at some point in time get done wrong, and they call me for help.
Right. And I
I
do
mean,
want to
so
encourage our audience. I've dropped your YouTube link in the chat many times, but Sean does have quite a few videos on this where he has spoken with the coach at the school. He's spoken with the chief. He's spoken with both the moms. So I definitely encourage you guys to go over there and watch those videos of him.
and I'm not a
Go ahead.
video editor, and I'm getting better, but with the Facebook platform, I really never I write much better than I speak, and because I can take time to really hone what my message that I'm trying to convey. But X, I got on X, and I really would like that platform to grow as much as I can get it to grow, and we can cross platform between X and
Right.
Facebook. But just getting the support out there, and I tell everybody, even my supporters, or even my people that don't support me, there's no playbook, there's no game plan. Like, look, we walked into the superintendent's office today, and you have no idea what's going to happen. We knew the police were going to be called on us, which, I mean, that's a given, but you don't know how the conversation's going to go. You don't know if it's going to get ugly real fast, or if they're going to listen to you, or you're going to have a
Kick you
meaningful
out.
conversation, or kick you out. They tried to kick us out today, and we just sat down and said, no, we're pretty comfortable right here. But you know, look, there's just no game plan. I'm not going to
Right.
make everybody happy, and that's okay. I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. Lord knows I've made a lot of mistakes when it comes
Absolutely. We all do.
to, yeah,
We try
when
our
it comes,
best, though,
hindsight's 20/20, and when Katie Graham is a prime example. When Katie Graham was telling me about how he had to talk to the judge, the biggest mistake is I should have kept him on the phone for an hour. I cut him that conversation was fairly short. I should have kept him on the phone for an hour, because he would have disclosed probably a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And that was a mistake on my part. But
Definitely.
as far as what I try to do is, when people call me into action, I try to gather as much evidence as quickly as possible and get it recorded. And one thing I want to reach out to all your viewers for: anytime that you interact with a taxpayer, or governmental official, or a school official which is being paid by tax dollars, record them. I can't stress that enough, because I can almost assure you that Katie Graham is going to say, I never said that he was penetrated, and he's
Right.
going to backtrack
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
And so if she would have had that on recording, there would have been no backtracking.
Are
And
there
this is why I
cameras in
think,
the office for
I
where he
believe
has?
so. I believe so.
Would be. I would hope there would be.
Yeah, and the thing of it is, though, is whenever you got to call the judge, when the chief has to call the judge to release a redacted report, I can assure you that those videos are not ever going to see the light of day. They're going to say, and I've had this done with the city of Sallisaw before we fired. I got Keith Skelton fired. He was the city manager for doing some really crazy things, but every time I would ask for public records and video, anything that I wanted, the video system was always down. I mean, it was like, yeah, that we have video there, but it was broken at the time. I can't
Funny
tell
how
you
that
how many
happens, isn't it?
Yeah,
Carl,
yeah,
in our chat said, I'm glad that the moms are remaining anonymous, because I can tell you that small town politics can make your life a living hell. And I totally agree. But the flip side of that is, it's
I wish
really
they would make
shitty.
them.
It's really shitty that these families are having to be quiet, using fake names, and basically hiding from something they didn't do. Somebody else did this to them. And and it re-victimizes the families and the children. The children having to switch schools, new friends. It should not be that way. It absolutely should not be that way.
And I want to weigh in on that really, really heavily. I've been doing this for several years now, here for Sallisaw and in our county. We got Vian, Sallisaw, Muldrow, Roland, a lot of little towns. And I've gotten to the point, not with all of the towns, but with the city of Sallisaw for sure, because we fired the city manager. That happened a year and a half ago, and we got this new city manager in, Brian Heverly. He's a hell of a guy. I can call him up and say, Brian, I need this video, I need this, I need that. You know, like, Sean, send your wife down here, and we'll get it to her in the next couple of days. And whenever, you know, I have that relationship. And if you guys watch the video when I go confront Coach Barlow, or over there at the football field, whenever I asked him, I said, "Hey, I don't see the kid that was victimized on your playing field." And when he switched his hand, he goes, "He's just gone." Well, if you guys watch the entire video, the entire police force of Sallisaw was summoned on me for saying that I was sexually harassing all these kids on the field. And if you notice that the police officer that walked up to me knows me very well, and he knows that there's not a snowball's chance in any hell that I would have ever engaged with any kids like that whatsoever. And so, but having 5 cops called on me with a highway patrolman showing up there too, it's I don't know. I knew it was going to happen. In fact, the people that I was there with, I told them, I said, give it 10 minutes and all the cops will show up. And they're like, "Oh, they ain't going to call no cops on you." And they showed up, I'm telling you. And they were trying to, you know, pretty much swap me, if you will, of saying, "Hey, Sean did this really bad thing to all these kids, and we're here to investigate." Well, I'm getting to the point to where they know that call was a bogus call, but they had to show up anyway. I don't know why they showed up in so many numbers, because I was just one guy with the camera, but they did show up. There was 5 of them. And so the video at the end shows, you know, exactly, you know, how that was handled and what they said that I did, and what I, you know, there's crazy. I just had one question for the coach, and he answered it exactly how I didn't think he was going to answer it. I was hoping he would say, you know, we really care about that boy, and we hope he comes back to the football team. And it was totally not what was happening.
Play that. I'm going to play that here for the audience real quick as soon as I can pull it up, because that was pretty interesting. Let's see where it was at.
And so I'm building these relationships with, you know, the community police. There's good cops and there's bad cops, and the good cops like what I do, and the bad cops don't like what I do.
All right, let's watch this. This is Sean going and confronting Coach Barlow. Now, can you explain real fast who Coach Barlow is?
Yeah, so Coach Barlow, this is the football team that the victim, the little boy that was victimized, was playing on this team, and Coach Barlow, his son, was I believe that was one of the kids that held him down.
All right.
And so here I'm walking down the track, and I think I'm walking down the track. Yeah, here we go. So right now, he didn't know I had a camera on him.
Truck Nation did. Yeah. And as far as that, I still haven't heard any final on that yet. So.
Well, he was having, you said, before he came investigation over.
The school did their thing, and then they kicked it up to Snowball. One of the kids was Cherokee, I guess. So they're going to do theirs and hopefully release the findings as soon as possible. So we can all just keep going. So, but
And so, Sean, was he discussing this incident when you were standing there before you started speaking to him? Because I hear him say the Cherokee and
Yes.
that. Okay, so he was talking about it with somebody else as you
Yeah,
had
so
walked up.
that gentleman that was standing there, his son plays on that team, and he was concerned with what was going on with why the kids, the three kids that that did that to that little son, to that one boy, why they're still on the team. And so he wanted to make sure that they understood that everybody was going to be treated equally there.
Got it. Okay.
And he was asking why are these kids allowed to play football whenever the other kid's not?
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's what he was asking.
I put in the group me if you have any concerns, you can just contact Karen or whatever. She's lead director. And just let her know how you feel about it either way. So. But other than that, I can't really say too much.
Where's the little boy that it happened to?
I don't know.
Haven't seen?
He's gone. So
How come?
So that was the coach's response to being asked what happened to the little boy this happened to. And the coach said, "Oh, he's gone. He's just gone. He's just gone."
Just gone. Yeah.
This little boy had played, according to the mom, he'd played with this team since pre-K, and he's what, fifth grade now? Is it
Yes.
fifth grade? That's a long time. 6-7 years of playing football with these kids. These are his friends, you know.
There and that coach, and I'll go on record. I mean, I spoke to mom number 2 about this in great detail, and I asked him. I said, "Did Coach Barlow call and ask you how your son's doing since this incident?" And he said, "Not at all, none, zero." That guy right there has never reached out to that mother that kid's played on that team, and with his son that held him down or whatever the case.
And that speaks volumes to that child too. It's just sad. It's so sad.
Where are you going?
I can't pause it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So when I asked him that question and he just flipped his arms out like he's just gone, I was like, wow, you are the most insensitive person. So I told you guys earlier, I said, whenever I ask a question like that, I expect an answer. I have an expectation of what the answer should be. And I was hoping that he would say, some really bad things that happened to to that kid, and we really can't wait for him to get back to the team, and he's going to have to do some healing or something of sympathy is what I was asking.
Caring nature of some sort. Yes, absolutely.
And I was hoping for some sympathy, and I would settle for some empathy, and what I got was nothing.
Nothing at all.
You're gonna puss out like that?
And I got
lots of concerns, sir. A lot.
Now, I just want the audience to see, this is all you said to him. That's it.
That's it. That's the only words I said to him. I said, when he walked away, look, it angered me whenever I asked him that question and he just flipped his arms out there like that kid was nothing to him.
Boy, it would have me as well.
And so I could, because there was kids there, I used the word push. Don't push out. Are you pushing out on me? And I never said anything after that. I turned around and I walked back, and I sat down, and we watched those kids practice. And I was talking to a couple of buddies that were there. And that's when I told them, I said, well, I can guarantee you they're going to call the cops on me, because I saw a coach pick up the phone and started, walking across the field talking on his phone.
Right.
And, said, well,
and they sure do.
Here comes the cops. And they were like, they're not going to call the cops on you. And sure enough, they did. And I don't know. I mean, you can see how they do me, but that's all I said to the guy. And that's all I said to anybody there other than my 2 friends that were there.
All right.
And
So,
so
I want the audience to see what the response was to this.
Sure.
Even that exists.
You got an act for it, I guess.
That's how you come.
Not bad.
They send you down here. Oh, goddamn Sean's down here, man. Come on down here. Did you get the call?
I didn't really get any details.
Did you get the call?
They sent somebody else, and I just came because I know well enough. So.
Well, thank you. I'm glad. I got a couple questions for the old boy. Just curious. For Marlo. You know me. I don't get physical.
Yeah.
I do like to ask questions though. My concern is that they've got a bunch of kids out there, and then I don't see the kid that got violated. I don't see him out there.
Well, what I saw on Facebook, they said that he was
he quit.
Yeah, the mom.
He quit that night.
Things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just what I saw. On
Yeah.
Facebook.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He quit that night. He changed his school.
But Dotson, but why? Why did he have to do that?
I don't know. Everything that I've seen has just been on Facebook. Our department hadn't messed with any of it.
I know. Oh, I know. You guys are good. Katie Graham, he not good. He not good. Did you hear my audio when I was talking to him? Whenever he said,
No,
dude, I was like,
on that page unless somebody else shares something.
Dude, I called him up. I'm like, hey man, I need to get a copy of the redacted police report.
Yeah.
He's like, man, I need to talk to the judge first. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I'm trying to see him.
I'm not famous, guys. I'm infamous. I'm all right. How are you doing? Cody Biles, Sean Buckner. Been wanting to meet you for a long time.
Okay. What's up?
I haven't been hard on you. Not as hard as I have been Devin Harriman.
Okay.
I wanted to meet you one day. I don't want to meet Devin. That's a good thing.
Okay. All right.
Why was you guys called out here? Yeah, a little bit, but I want to hear from you too. You're the LT, right?
Yeah, we got a call. Yeah, that's right there.
Oh, okay. I didn't see bars.
Yeah, we got a call on you. Said you were sexually harassing, or that you were making statements that someone was sexually harassing the students.
You got a call. Okay, I want to file a police report.
Is that not what we were told?
I told him what I understood as was
That I'm sexually harassing the student.
Making sexual allegations about the coach doing something or saying something inappropriate.
Can you guys believe this? Like, can you believe what you're hearing? Unbelievable.
Man.
Okay, so
It was a third party call, so that's all we have.
yeah, it was the guy with the beard. I watched him call. Yeah, I want to file a police report for false allegations. Absolutely.
You know who the guy was?
Who? Yeah, he's still here.
Which guy was it, you think?
I know it's the guy that was. It was the guy that got the beard.
Okay, it says RP called stating that Sean Buckner is at the boys' football field making accusations against the coach of sexual harassing the 5th grade football boys. That's what it says.
I got all of him. I called. I said, "Don't be a puss." He walked away from me.
That was it.
Man.
And so those 3 officers there, were there. There was 2 other officers and a highway patrolman. They left. And look, Dotson, the guy that walked up to me and shook my hand, he's been on the force quite a while. I don't know him. I've never spoke to him. I bought him dinner. He was at the restaurant one night and I paid for his dinner. That's all I've ever really had interactions with him, but he knows he's been to a lot of the city meetings that I may attend. And he sees exactly how I operate. I have a camera and I have lots of questions. And so that's why when that call went out, he come up and said, "Hey, I heard the call and I knew what they were, alleging." And he goes, "That's not you." And so he's the one. If it wasn't been for him, I would have probably been in handcuffs.
Right? Yeah. Scary situation.
So don't be a puss. Answer the questions. Okay, I want this through. If they're calling, I didn't say one word. I asked the guy, Barlow. I said, "Hey, I'm concerned. I don't see the boy that we violated out here." And he said, he's gone like nothing in the wind, like no big deal. I said, okay. And he turned around and walked away. I said, where are you going? He goes, I'm going to coach my team. And I said, I got it all. It's all on video. And I said, don't be a puss. I said, we need to talk about this. I've got lots of questions for you. The calling him a puss is hurting his feelings. I ain't talked to one kid. I won't ever talk to a kid.
Well, so what do you want to do?
I'll file charges on you. False police. You guys are out here, and you know me, Dawson. I ask questions. I don't mess with kids. Those kids I have no business with those kids. What do you guys do with false allegations like that?
False allegations like that? I mean, obviously we weren't here to...
No, you didn't see it firsthand. I understand.
The entire incident, so.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to leave it up to you on what you want to do.
I want to file charges on him for false allegations for making a false police report. I mean, if he wants to play that way, that's not what I'm here. I just want to.
What would you say if I told you it was a female that had called?
A female?
It was a female recording party.
No, that's fine. Then I'll press charges on her because that's not what happened. I saw the beard, and he was on the phone, and he was the coach.
Okay.
So you're saying it was the coach that called?
Oh, I know. I saw the coach on the phone. I don't know who called. You guys tell me who called.
I don't have a name.
She kind of had a little attitude with you. It felt like to me.
Oh, I turned her off like a light switch.
Yeah.
She started barking orders at me, and I was like, "Yeah, I ain't talking to you. I'm gonna talk to the LT right here."
Yeah, she definitely had an attitude from the get-go.
Okay, well, if it's a female, that's fine. Then file charges on her because that's not what was said. And I did not interact with a kid. I won't interact with a kid. You don't believe me?
No, I'm not saying that.
You don't believe me? Really?
I just said I wasn't saying that at all, sir.
Okay.
What's your date of birth?
April 24th, 1970. Why?
I have to have it for my report.
Okay.
Do you have a phone number for you?
Nope.
Just no?
No.
Okay.
You
Good
want to
address for
say
you?
about this now?
You're right. Are you investigating me now? Is that what's going on?
No, so what happens is our reporting party has to be entered into the system.
Okay.
And we have to have all the information up to date as best as possible.
Okay, I would rather you not report it. I'd rather Lieutenant report
That's
this.
perfectly fine.
Would you do that?
Well, typically what we do is we take a statement. If you want to file charges, we take a statement from you, typically a written statement.
I don't like her demeanor.
Okay.
The way she's demanding.
Okay. That is the typical way that we
I get
do
it.
This is all because Sean asked the football coach of the alleged victim, where is the little boy? Why is he not playing football? That's it. That's all. And this is a response from the police force.
Identify the victim. We want to identify the suspect if we can. Okay.
I'll give you all that.
We put it in a report and send it to the DA or the Cherokee Attorney General.
Right. Is he Cherokee or she Cherokee?
I don't know who it is.
Good evening, folks. Today's been kind of a crazy day. I don't want to not share with you everything.
So with 3 cops on video, 2 others had already left over a question to an adult in a public forum. But 3 kids hold down another kid and assault him, and no cops anywhere. It's amazing.
Yeah, sums it up. Sums it up. Look, I'm glad that I've been able to build relationships with good cops. And I'll be honest with you, if there's a lot of stuff that goes on here, and that lieutenant was part of one of my investigations on a wrongful death for another. And this is really where my whole Facebook page started. But I've been hard on Lieutenant Biles for. Oh, I don't want to use the word murder. I've been asked not to use that word, but it was a wrongful death. He and another cop shot an individual without body cams on, and the city had to pay out an enormous amount of money for it to settle that lawsuit. And that was Lieutenant Biles. He was one of the persons that shot the guy. And so, if you could imagine how public I was about that. Costing the taxpayers a lot of money. I will give a shout out to him that I've never met him in the wild, and he was the most professional police officer that I've ever ran across. After that, I've publicly went after for his actions as a police officer, and so that's why I said, hey, I've always wanted to meet you, and I don't want to meet the Devin Harriman guy. Because it wouldn't have never went like that. And this lieutenant, he was kind of caught up in a bad situation, but he still pulled the trigger on this individual. And that was a huge community outcry on that situation. And the city paid out a huge settlement sum.
What do you think's going to happen next?
Oh, that's a good one. Absolutely nothing. I can whine, I can piss, I can cry, I can moan, I can do everything I possibly can do with my 12,000 Facebook followers here in Sequoia County. What's going to happen? Nothing. You're going to see a kid that was violated, move school districts, lose his football team, and he's going to create a life in another place. You're going to see the mom number 2. You're going to see that child hopefully get count. She has a therapist. That nothing's going to happen. It never does.
Right.
And here's why I say that is because it was the law enforcement side was the perpetrator. Anytime a law enforcement perpetrator here gets caught, nothing happens.
Yeah.
And so, if I was to go to, if this was on the Vegas pool, I'd put $1 million that nothing would happen. Nothing's going to happen to anybody.
So where do we go from here? What do we do from here to support the families? And
I would love to lose my $1 million. I really would. I would love to see the district attorney. So let's talk a little bit about our jurisdictional issues here with McGirt and being Cherokee Indian on reservation.
Yes, that's an important part.
This is, yeah, it's a huge part. So, being Cherokee Indian, living on a reservation, me being from Arizona, I'm very fluent with reservation. Arizona, I think 85% of their landmass is in reservation. So you have the Navajos, you got the Gila River, you've got the Zuni, you've got all kinds of reservations over there, Wasupai. And when you go on to their reservation as a non-native to that tribe, it's like walking in Russia.
It's a whole new world.
It,
Absolutely.
it
What?
is a sovereign
So how
nation.
many of these kids with the incident with the young boy? How many of them, or do you know, are Cherokee
Two,
tribe? So
two.
two of them is the young boy himself, also
Yeah.
tribal. What
hmm
about the little girl?
She is not tribal.
She's not. Okay.
So in 2020, the Supreme Court held the McGirt ruling that said that if you are a tribal member on tribal grounds on reservation, then the state of Oklahoma has no jurisdiction over you. Only the tribe. So I being Cherokee, um, a Cherokee citizen, the only jurisdiction over me criminally is the tribe. And we have a whole set of statutes that we have to live by. And the state of Oklahoma doesn't apply. It doesn't apply to us.
Do you
And
know if
so,
tribal officials or the Cherokee Nation, have they been made aware of what's happened?
yeah, so they are. The tribe has what we call the Marshal Services, the Cherokee Marshal. They
Mhm.
are federal agents. They are a federal. They are a federal level, and they have taken over this investigation. I will tell you that mom number two has met with the Cherokee Marshals Services and reviewed the video that she watched in Katie Graham's police car where he was pinned down. And the Cherokee Marshal investigator assured the mother that at minimum this was sexual assault.
Right.
At minimum. And so now you have um, the proper jurisdiction saying that there was an assault of sexual nature at this level. I think that if that holds up in Cherokee Tribal Court, it it won't be good. Um, and again, I do not know how Cherokee tribal laws apply to children, right, to minors. That's a whole different element onto itself. Tribes do weird things. They have some different laws. And so, but will they hold these people accountable? Yes, way more than what happens um, with our standard, state authorities doing the investigation. Um, and with the tribes, it's a 50-50 chance. Really, it is whether or not they see enough or they want to prosecute um, that case. There's things that get let go, and then there's things that should be let go, and they throw the book at them. And again, this McGirt ruling really changed the way that criminals have been prosecuted in Oklahoma. And there's another case that even is more important than the McGirt case was Hooper versus Tulsa, and that has to do with jurisdiction over uh, codes and city. A Cherokee Indian, maybe it was a Creek Indian over in Tulsa, got pulled over, and Tulsa wrote him a ticket, and he said, "Look, you don't have jurisdiction over me." And the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld that, and the Supreme Court failed to take that up. So the Ninth Circuit ruling that Tulsa, the cities don't have jurisdiction over uh, these Indians on Indian or tribal reservations. They don't even have, I don't even think they can enforce like rules and regulations for dogs or if you're a pedestrian and you cross the street. I don't think that's on the tribal statutes for jaywalking. So You've
Well,
got
I
all
sure
these.
hope that mom number 2 is able to get help through
Mhm.
the
They,
church.
I think, I think that if they do their job correctly, they will. But I mean, will they hold the family or the parents or the school or anybody accountable? No. And I mean, these kids are 10 years old. They're not gonna pull these kids from the parents and put them in.
Right.
There's just nothing that's gonna happen.
Well, and you
And
said it best, when you were talking to, I believe it was the sheriff or who that was, JD, was that his name?
yeah,
KD.
Katie Graham.
That's it. When you said there's really no winners here, and then there isn't. There's
There's
no
not.
way possible. So, and that's
You,
sad.
it is. There's no there's no winners here.
These
And what I
other
meant,
kids are children, and yes, this incident could
Mhm.
affect the rest of their lives. And it's hard for me to line up. When they did what they did they understand what they were really doing and what the true consequences of something like that would be?
no,
And I
I've asked
don't think
myself
they
that.
do either, because like I said, I have
No,
grandsons that age. I have 5 children, so at that age, they don't think beyond this minute. And but it doesn't change what happened to the little girl and the little boy either.
no,
And
No.
that's
no.
why there's
And I've been questioned. I've been asked by a lot of my followers. Like some of my naysayers. They're like, well, that little boy. It's not as bad as for that little boy as that little girl. Well, yeah, it is.
yeah, it is.
There's not just because that little girl. And look, I mean, societal norms. Put women on pedestals, which they should. I mean, their body's sacred, and I mean, there's a lot of things
But
that.
boys are supposed to be tough, and it's roughhousing,
Yes,
and,
that's what yes,
hazing,
and
Right.
so it's not as bad for the little boy as it is for the
right.
little girl, and I disagree with that. I think
I do
it's
too,
bad
absolutely.
for both. I mean, you're uprooting everything this kid knew.
Hmm.
And
it's going to be something that's probably very hard for him to talk about for a very long time.
oh,
Um,
forever.
and I'm sure that the boys that did this, allegedly, they're probably going through their own thing too and scared. And like I said, it's just these are all children, and there's just no
They are.
winner. It's a
And
horrible situation, but there needs to be a resolution somehow to
Mhm.
and
how
that's
the
why I
schools handle these.
And that's why I put it all back on the school, the teachers, the principals, the
Yeah.
superintendent. And if you would hold these people accountable at some level, I mean, look, if you don't want to criminally prosecute them, take 2 months of their paycheck. Say,
Take them
hey, if
out of
this happens
football.
again, take them out of football. Take the kids out
Hmm.
of football. Hey, you can't play, for 2 years or a year or
Yeah.
whatever. Look, they got 5. Look, there's only 2 kids of those 3 that got 5-day suspensions. The other one went back to school like nothing ever happened.
Right,
And
and I don't know if we told
and
the audience that earlier. These boys did only get 5-day suspension. Only
Yeah.
2 of
only
the
two,
3.
only 2 of them, and those 5-day suspensions started while they were on break for fall
Right.
break.
So they
And
really
so,
didn't get any kind of suspension.
no, not at all. And so, I mean, there's several ways. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if an administrator that allowed or had this happen underneath them lost 2 months worth of their paycheck?
Right.
I think it would wake them up and say, man, I mean, they'd do better next time. And to answer your question, did those kids know what they were doing? Probably not. Did they know that the magnitude of this was going to happen? That to this magnitude? Absolutely not. I think that if nothing happens to them criminally, I assure you that the families, through the court of public opinion, are going to pay the price.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Um,
they will. The victims, it just seems to work out that way.
Yep.
but you're looking at, Katie Graham and the principal telling these mothers, don't you speak a word about this. Don't you speak a word about this because the court of public opinion will prevail.
Yeah.
Horrible, silence them all over again. All right, well, it's been almost 2.5 hours, so
It's
I'm going to
crazy.
wrap it up. Before we close tonight, I do want to take a moment, thank everyone who joined the conversation. A heartfelt thank you to you, Sean, for standing beside these families. and working so hard to make sure that their stories get heard. I want to thank mom number one, who joined us earlier and shared really what no parent should ever have to experience. And her courage does mean more than she probably knows. To the mom that wasn't able to be here tonight, I also want to let her know that we respect her completely and will continue to make sure that her family story is treated with the same truth and care. To everyone that was watching, thank you for keeping the discussion respectful and compassionate. You guys are always wonderful about that. If you did find tonight's live meaningful, please take a second to like the video. It really does help more people see these stories. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to follow the case and others we're covering. Again, I did drop Sean's video link in the chat multiple times. Please go check out his YouTube channel. Watch the interview he did with both moms and some of the other videos. He's done a really great job. And Sean, we really, truly thank you for sharing this information with us and for joining us this evening.
Yeah, and I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to share this, because this is honestly, I believe this is the only way these kids are going to get justice.
Yeah.
And without the audience, you know, it can't, it just can't go covered up. Nothing
Right.
will get fixed that way. And so everybody that listens, I want to thank you. And, you know, like I said, I was deplatformed off of Facebook. That was kind of a punch in the gut. I'm not going to lie. I worked really hard to create that that environment that people could voice their opinions, and
Right.
to be turned off like
understand.
a light bulb.
We have a group of over 20,000, so I understand completely
Mhm.
if I got shut down. Yeah, that would be a nightmare, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you work your 2 or 3 years of everything that you can put into it. You do, and I don't make a dime. I don't make a dime off this, and I don't want a dime. I do this because nobody else stands up for these moms and other people in our community. You guys can look on my YouTube channel. I mean, I've got Robert Rice's out there that are choking girls that are in handcuffs. It's insane with what happens out here, and it just goes unnoticed until, you know, somebody like us brings this to light. And then, and people,
Absolutely.
even at this, is sometimes even I bring stuff that's so lewd to light that people don't even believe it. They watch it with their eyes and they're like, that couldn't happen.
Right.
And
All
so-
right. Well, we may
Okay.
have you back, Sean. We're going to continue to follow this. Please continue, you know, stay in touch with us. If there's anything moms need that Tara and I can help with, absolutely, we're there for them. Any new information, if you want to come back, just holler at us, and we'll keep sharing. And hopefully there will be some kind of resolution. You know, nobody's going to be happy with it. But
No,
I
that-
do.
Yeah.
I
No,
thank
I
you.
appreciate you guys.
Yes, and thank you, Tara. As always, I love you.
Love you
And
too.
I'm going to do our outro video. And again, thank you everyone for watching. Sean, we appreciate you, and we'll see you soon. You
All
guys
right,
have a
thank you.
wonderful evening.
Good night.
Good night.